Hello and welcome to my overall catch-up guide for World of Warcraft Legion. While many of us are up to date with how the expansion works, a lot of people are just coming back to the game, so the aim of this guide is to provide a basic overview of how Legion works, especially the new systems which might catch players off guard or just lead to a bit of confusion. If you've been keeping up to date with Legion, this guide isn't really for you, but keep an eye on the channel over the coming days for my in-depth guides on, well, pretty much everything in Legion. The topics that I'll cover today are level scaling, artifact weapons, order halls, world quests, gear, dungeons and raids, PvP, and then finally a few words on professions. First though, Discord have actually sponsored the video and set me up with my own server, so if you would like to join Discord and hang out, discord.gg/bellular is the place to go, and that'll get you an invite onto the server. So what is Discord? Basically, it's the best VoIP solution there is for gaming. I've been using Discord since long before they ever contacted me about this. My guild switched over from Mumble, and we haven't looked back. It's free forever. Loads of great functionality, text channels, lots of great stuff. So discord.gg/bellular if you want to hang out, and let's just get right into the level scaling. Unlike in previous expansions, each zone in Legion will be matched to your character's level. Essentially, all the maths under the hood is calculated using the percentage of health rather than the raw numbers. You can therefore tackle the zones in any order. It's a non-linear progression, unlike in past expansions. When you log into Legion, you'll be prompted to do the Broken Shore, and then after a quest chain, you'll get your artifact weapon, your class order hall, and then you'll choose a zone to start leveling in. You'll actually share zones with players of any level over 100. It's one big shared world, and the new mob tagging system reinforces this. Kills and credit are shared between players who contribute to killing a mob, even just regular quest ones. And that's pretty much all you need to know about the scaling system. Next, artifact weapons. One of the first things that you'll do in Legion is get your artifact weapon. The quest is self-explanatory, but it's worth me explaining how the system works. The weapon has its own talent tree that contains a number of traits. It also has what you can think of as an experience bar. This bar fills up with artifact power, which you will collect. Whenever you collect enough artifact power to rank up your weapon, you'll get another point to put into this talent tree. The tree has many minor traits and a few major traits, which are denoted by gold gilding. You will slowly work your way through this talent tree as the expansion goes on. Let's talk about the artifact power though. As I said, it's used to power up your artifact weapon and unlock new traits. You gain artifact power from a number of different sources: random mob drops, quest rewards, dungeon drops, raid drops, PvP drops, world quests, pretty much everything. It will come in the form of a consumable item, so whenever you click on this item, the appropriate amount of artifact power will be put onto your currently equipped weapon. Now, you can increase the rate at which you gain artifact power through the artifact knowledge system. This essentially puts a multiplier on how much artifact power new item drops will give you, and to compensate, the cost of subsequent traits increases greatly as you go down the tree. Once you complete your artifact talent tree, you will be able to dump extra power into an endless trait that just gives you a very small power increase. And the artifact knowledge system is something that's unlocked once you hit max level. Before I talk about getting multiple artifact weapons, we need to cover relics. Each weapon has 3 relic slots. You socket relics into these slots, just like how you'd put a gem into a bit of gear. Each relic has a type that corresponds to a slot on your weapon, and these relics will increase the item level of your weapon and will give you an additional rank in a particular trait. They overall replace weapon drops in Legion. Also note that whenever you replace the relic in a slot, the old relic is actually destroyed. And the 3rd relic slot on your weapon is unlocked after you complete the Class Order Hall campaign, which is just a series of narrative quests that you'll get into quite naturally as the expansion goes on. At level 102, you gain the ability to do quests to unlock your other artifact weapons. Now, if you want to power up one of those other artifact weapons, simply equip it and then use the artifact power item that's sitting in your bags. As I said, the artifact power item will put artifact power on your currently equipped artifact weapon. You will also be able to unlock various visuals for the weapon too. Just take a look at the Order Hall Artifact Weapon Forge for details on that. And next, let's talk about class order halls. These are essentially garrisons light, but with an emphasis on sending you out into the world rather than keeping you stuck inside. Rather than having a large number of followers, we now have a small number of champions, bolstered by expendable troops, which we can purchase for Order Hall resources. Order Hall resources are the primary resource for Order Halls, oddly enough, and they're gained by doing most forms of content in the game world. The mission system will be quite familiar to players of Warlords of Draenor. Just match the traits of the mission to the traits of your follower. It's pretty easy. There is also an upgrade tree that costs Order Hall resources. It's pretty slow to unlock though. The initial quests will explain all of this stuff to you, so there really isn't much need to worry. The NPC who deals with artifact knowledge, which I mentioned earlier, is also located in your Order Hall. Then your champions, like followers, have levels, experience bars, and an actual item level, so quite similar to the garrison followers. They also have 2 equipment slots, which is rather similar to the garrison boats. A few of them also have a trait which allows them to be your companion, meaning that they will help you in combat in the world from time to time, but most of this stuff ends up being self-explanatory and it's nothing to really get too fussed about. Next, let's talk about world quests. This is the new version of daily quests. Unlocked once you hit max level and get friendly rep with the local factions, they will be viewable from your world map. They spawn in and out over time, with the missions carrying the best rewards sticking around for longer than the more expendable small reward missions. On top of this, there are emissary quests. You'll see these on your minimap. These ask you to complete 4 world quests for one of the game's factions. Doing this will get you a bag of loot, and these quests actually stack up to 3 times. Basically, you get a new one every day, and that caps at you being able to sort of carry a maximum of 3 at once. This means that you can not play the game for 2 days and not miss out on any progress. These are your primary way of getting reputation with the factions of Legion. With world quests covered, let's talk about gear. Gear is very different in Legion. Almost every item in the game has a variable item level. I go into depth about this system in a video that I'll link below, but basically, there is a chance that gear can be significantly better than its base item level. This keeps content relevant to your character for longer, and it's something that will be familiar to those of you who partook in the most recent iteration of the Warlords of Draenor Mythic Dungeons. This system is applied to almost all gear at endgame. Overall, the message is that you will get the best rewards by doing the hardest content, but sometimes there's a chance for a rare surprise. We also have legendary items. These are a high item level and also have an effect which is generally quite pertinent to one of your specs. These are bound on pickup and they're confirmed to drop from dungeon bosses, raid bosses, world quest caches, PvP strongboxes, and then Mythic Plus weekly caches. Next, let's talk about dungeons and raids. So raids are the same as they were in Warlords of Draenor, with heroic, normal, and mythic all returning pretty much the same as they were. Dungeons have been revamped though. Normal and heroic are pretty much as they were, but mythic is different. Legion has regular mythic dungeons and then the Mythic Plus system. So every week you can earn 1 mythic dungeon keystone. This keystone will be for one of the Legion dungeons. It will ask you to complete the dungeon with a number of difficulty modifiers and a par time. If you complete the dungeon in under the par time, you'll be given another mythic dungeon keystone with a higher level that has a set of harder difficulty modifiers. So each week you just try to get as high as you can, complete as many harder keystones as you can. Eventually you will fail one, and you'll be able to hand that in at your class order hall for a big load of powerful gear with the quality of the reward depending on how well you've done in the previous week's mythic dungeons. It's designed for pre-made groups, especially guild ones, so be sure to grab some friends. Next, we've got PvP. So I've already done a video explaining the new PvP gear situation. I'll link that below. Currencies are now gone, replaced by the new honor system. You start at honor rank 1, and the max rank is 50. Once you hit 50, you can prestige, setting yourself to level 1, but giving you some cosmetic rewards. As you level up, you will unlock new PvP talents, which, as the name suggests, are talents that are only active in PvP content. And finally, I just want to give a quick word on professions. Professions are a lot more content focused now. So most of your recipes are earned by doing quest content. It's all quite self-explanatory, but I recommend picking up some professions off the bat. Just head to the profession area in Dalaran. Each recipe for your profession has 3 ranks, and in most cases, subsequent ranks are either purchased or earned by doing some quest content. Generally, the higher ranks will use less resources to complete the same craft. Now, I also have to mention the Obliterum system. You can put gear into the Obliterum Forge. This will melt the gear down and give you a material called Obliterum. You can then use this to power up your crafted gear up to an item level of 850, but for the most part, that's all I need to cover with professions because they all have quest lines which explain most of the new systems very well. And that essentially is it for the video. The main goal here was to get you caught up with the last year worth of news and developments so that you can go into Legion focusing on enjoying the great content rather than running around in circles trying to make sense of it all. So I hope you found this video useful. Stay tuned to the channel for more in-depth videos over the next few days, which will be giving you a good guide to a lot of the Legion systems. But other than that, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.